Some Scott County people with relatives in Louisiana are collecting donations for flood victims, and the support they're receiving has been almost overwhelming.
Preparations are underway for this weekend's memorial service honoring the victims of Flight 5191.
How scammers use a false sense of urgency to trick their victims into giving up thousands.
WKYT News starts now with breaking news.
Good evening. We have some sad news to report tonight. A Georgetown College football player injured in a fall has died.
The Fayette County coroner says John Colson Mocklet died earlier this afternoon at UK Hospital from a traumatic brain injury. Police say Mocklet tried to jump from a third-floor stairway to a second-floor landing at the Lambda Chi Alpha House early Sunday morning and hit his head. Mocklet is a sophomore defensive lineman on the Tigers football team. Police say they still have an active investigation into this fall. We'll have a live report from Georgetown coming up on WKYT News at 6. Louisiana continues to recover after historic floodings killed at least 13 people and damaged some 60,000 homes.
People across the country are pitching in to try and help, including some people right here in Lexington with their businesses. They have started a drive called From the Bluegrass to the Bayou. Victor Puente talked with the group. It's our top story at 5:30.
When these Kentuckians saw that flooding in Louisiana, they knew they had to help. What they couldn't anticipate was how many people wanted to join their efforts. As the video of that flooding made its way across the country, a couple here in central Kentucky knew they had to help.
My husband is from Walker, Louisiana.
My brother had about 4 feet of water, but the big kicker is his house is 4 feet off the ground.
The two planned a trip to take a pickup full of supplies. Joyce put up a Facebook post, which began to spread. Soon their friends at the Robertson Group got involved, giving them a place to store the items and a big donation.
And from there, it has exploded to people are giving left and right.
They're letting us house here and pack here, and they're actually going with us.
So now, instead of a pickup, they're taking semis and trailers loaded with items for people who have lost everything.
They had no idea that so many people in a town so far away would be so interested in helping them.
They'll be collecting donations until Friday. That'll give them time to load those trailers to begin that long drive down to Louisiana Saturday morning. In Georgetown, Victor Puente, WKYT.
And we have a list of the locations where you can drop off donations on our website. Just go to WKYT.com. A Lexington man accused of shooting his cousin multiple times appeared in court today. 26-year-old Anthony Beard, Jr. pled not guilty to charges of assault and burglary. Lexington police say on Sunday Beard broke into a house on Jackson Street with a handgun, got into an argument with his 23-year-old cousin, and then shot him once in both legs and twice in one arm. He was arrested last night. Beard is scheduled to be back in court on Friday.
Police are investigating the theft of several items from the Department of Fish and Wildlife. Our county-by-county coverage begins in Madison County. Police say sometime between Friday and today, someone entered the service garage of the Fish and Wildlife facility at 638 Dreyfus Road north of Berea. The thief took several items, including lawnmowers, an ATV, and a chainsaw, among other items. The stolen items are worth about $30,000. Anyone with information is asked to contact state police. In Wayne County, a sheriff's deputy is being accused of sneaking in drugs to inmates. Acting on a tip, deputies arrested Deputy Jailer Dewey Adam Burks this morning at the Wayne County Detention Center. Police were told Burks was sneaking in pills and tobacco to inmates, which was on him when he was arrested. Burks is charged with promoting contraband, trafficking, and official misconduct. In Johnson County, deputies are investigating after they say someone burglarized and vandalized an elementary school. They say it happened sometime during the weekend at Flat Gap Elementary. Custodians found toilet paper strung across the classroom and paint spilled in several areas. Officials do not believe anything is missing. Deputies say they will charge anyone responsible with burglary and criminal mischief.
But we're disappointed that somebody in our community or from another community, not being from the Flat Gap community, but would come and do something like this.
Deputies say they do not know how the vandal got inside the building, but do have a lead on a suspect.
This weekend marks a somber anniversary here in the Bluegrass. 10 years ago, Comair Flight 5191 crashed near Bluegrass Airport. 50 people were on board that plane. The co-pilot was the only survivor. On Saturday, a public memorial service will be held. Our Sean Moody joins us now live from the desk with more in the newsroom. And Sean, it's a Sunday morning that many of us will never forget.
Absolutely, and it's hard to believe it's really been that long now. Organizers have been planning this memorial service for nearly a year. They expect more than 300 people will be out there. The memorial service will be at 10 o'clock Saturday morning at the UK Arboretum. That's where the sculpture dedicated to the victims was unveiled on the 5-year anniversary. Now, there will be several guest speakers out there, including Mayor Jim Gray, family members of the victims, first responders who were there that morning, and the woman who was the NTSB chair during the investigation into the crash. Organizers said the community was key to the family's healing. That's one reason they want a big turnout.
What we want this to be is really two things. We want the families to come and honor their loved ones with this memorial and get to be with each other. One family member said it's kind of like a family reunion when they get to be together because they spent so much time together. And secondly, the families really want to honor the community. The community has been amazing since the beginning when the crash happened, and the families really want the communities to come out so that they can honor them and the community can be a part of this.
Organizers say this may be the last big 5191 service. Ultimately, that decision will rest with the families. At the live desk, Sean Moody, WKYT.
Sean, thank you, and we will carry that memorial service Saturday morning live at 10 o'clock here on WKYT. Two of us, along with many of our colleagues in the newsroom here at WKYT, were here most of the day that Sunday, and I'll never forget it.
Yeah, some days it feels like it was just yesterday, and then some days it really does feel like it's been 10 years.
Very difficult time. Turning now to the weather, wet week, and it's before this has turned into just a beautiful couple of days here in the Bluegrass.
Yeah, and it looks like this fantastic weather will continue through at least our night. Here with more is WKYT Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey with an early check of your forecast.
And with some good news for a change, guys, this nice weather that we started to get into second half of our Sunday, rolling into today through tonight, and you know what? We'll give you a bonus day heading into tomorrow. How about that? That's a pretty good deal. Upper 70s across the entire region. Sun and a little bit of cloud cover trying to do battle this afternoon, but overall, absolutely gorgeous here across central and eastern Kentucky with every number just about into the high 70s. We should still be into the low and mid 80s for a normal high temperature for this time of year. For the first time in a while, I could say Defender Radar Network hello and goodbye in the same sentence locally because there's nothing going on. A little bit of cloud cover, though, showing up on the southern horizon coming out of the volunteer state of Tennessee. So if you're out this evening, some of those high clouds will give our skyline a little bit of flavoring, but it's a great evening. We go from 75 before sundown into the low 60s quickly after the sun sets with a partly cloudy sky by 11 o'clock. A little bit of fog may begin to fire up during that time. So I mentioned we get a bonus day coming up for Tuesday, but the long range call says the steam and the storms try to move back into the Bluegrass state. And coming up, we've got a new hour-by-hour forecast to track that transition from nice to not so nice in a few.
Chris, thank you. A hearing today will determine if a Campbell County woman convicted of killing her boyfriend should get a new trial. The Kentucky Enquirer reports testimony started this afternoon in the hearing for Shayna Hubers. Her lawyers asked for a new trial after learning one of her jurors had a felony conviction on his record. That jury found Hubers guilty last summer in the shooting death of Brian Poston. She's serving a 40-year sentence.
Many of us dream of hearing that doorbell ring and finding someone on the front porch with a big check. But this Publishers Clearinghouse story was no fantasy, it's a fraud. We have some advice on how you can shut down the crooks before they crack into your bank account.
They were telling me that I was the winner on Publishers Clearinghouse.
Mary Wildman admits she was elated when the voice on her phone said she won $2.5 million in a new Mercedes.
To receive this prize, you're going to have to pay the taxes, which amounts to $499.25. So you need to go to the bank.
They said she needed to go immediately. Time was of the essence for her to get this money to them so they could deliver her prizes. So Mary and her husband go to a local grocery store with a Western Union inside.
I hand her the cash and tell her I want to send it to this person. She looks at me and she says, "I don't think you want to do this." Well, I knew I didn't want to do it, but I was doing it anyway.
Mary insisted the $500 was sent. Then she was told she would need to send $5,000 more to pay for the insurance on the car.
I knew all along this is crazy, and yet I could not control what I was doing. It was like they had a spell on me that I could not break.
Mary sent cash via express mail. When she left, she had a sinking feeling in her stomach. Mary called Publishers Clearinghouse directly and learned this was all a fraud. She called police and her postmaster trying to track her package with the cash inside. As opposed to so many other sweepstakes victims, Mary got some good news.
And he hands me my envelope. I have never cried so hard in my life. When he says, open it and count it. My $5,950 was in there. And I was never so grateful for anything in my life, because I could not believe at that point the fool I had made of myself by believing these lies.
Postal inspectors say Mary got caught up and fell prey to the false sense of urgency they create.
Anybody that wants to send it express is lying to you, and it's an attempt to steal your money and do it in a way that you're not going to be able to recover it.
Mary was very, very lucky there. Postal inspectors want to warn you again, consumers, that no legitimate lottery will ever ask for money up front in order to collect a prize.
A judge says he will issue a ruling over Governor Bevin's appointment of a new retirement board. That story in about 6 minutes on WKYT.
I'm Bill Bryant. A silver lining for Donald Trump amid more tough polling numbers. A wet, dry election will go on as scheduled tomorrow, despite a city's effort to stop it. The bottom line is ahead.
Welcome back. Republicans are outpacing Democrats in the race for new voters.
Bill Bryant has the details in the bottom line.
Good evening. With many polls showing Hillary Clinton leading in the race for the White House nationally and in several battleground states, Donald Trump's forces are starting ads and pointing to one factor in his favor. Politico reporting today that Republicans are out registering Democrats in places like Florida, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Iowa. And Democrats are not rushing to register as they did prior to President Obama's re-election in 2012. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton's team has reserved nearly $80 million in TV ads in key states. CNN reports Clinton is not running ads in Virginia and Colorado, where recent polling shows her with substantial leads. The countywide wet-dry election in Boyd County will be held tomorrow as scheduled. Judge David Hagerman turned down an effort by the city of Ashland to scrap the vote. The ruling came in a special hearing today. All 46 precincts will cast their votes in and decide whether to move the county from moist to fully wet. Ashland leaders had questioned the wording of the ballot initiative and indicated some concerns about potential for lost revenue to the city. The Frankfort political scene is remembering longtime journalist Mark Shelgren, who died suddenly over the weekend of an apparent heart attack. For more than 20 years, he was known around the capital as Bones because he was thin, a scrappy reporter who was respected by colleagues and those he covered. Mark Shelgren was a native of Ashland, where his funeral will be held on Wednesday. Mark Shelgren was 62. Today's EKU welcomed in a new school year today. Its leaders are considering eliminating some academic programs going forward. Linda Blackford at the Herald Leader reports French, journalism, and theater are among the majors that could be cut at Eastern. Those currently enrolled in any programs that are eliminated would be allowed to complete their studies. Bill Bryant, WKYT.
The new board for the state's retirement system will soon learn whether their appointment by Governor Matt Bevin is even legal. Governor Bevin abolished the retirement system's board earlier this year and replaced it with a new one. The chairman of the old board and Attorney General Andy Beshear sued, saying Governor Bevin's order was illegal. Franklin Circuit Court Judge Philip Shepard says he plans to issue a ruling in the case tomorrow.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey.
Well, you got to give it up to Mother Nature, finally giving us a break to all the steamy and the soggy weather we've had for the better part of the summer. And this nice weather is going to roll on for at least one more day. That's all I can promise. Let's roll on to see what we're looking at outside right now. 9 live sky cams from I-65 all the way to the mountains of eastern Kentucky, and every single sky cam that we look at looking exactly the same, with the clouds, a little sun, and overall doing battle. And what you can't see there, the nice temperatures, but we can show you those nice temperatures. Mid and upper 70s, humidity levels are way down. It feels absolutely awesome out there. So if you're firing up the grill this evening, get after it, my friends. Defender Radar Network, nothing across central and eastern Kentucky. How about over the next 3 days? Can we find anything? There's a slight chance for a little thunderstorm on Wednesday. I think most areas stay dry. Thursday we'll have a better shot for a thunderstorm as that tropical feel returns. And that is the beginning of another muggy period that carries us into the weekend. Stop me if you've heard this one before. Turns steamy with a daily threat for a shower or a thunderstorm right on into Saturday and Sunday. That may go into next week, and that depends on what happens in the tropics. By the way, if you're planning a vacation now to Florida or the southeastern seaboard, watch late weekend, early next week. Could be a tropical system skirting out of the Caribbean into the Bahamas and maybe impacting Florida and the southeastern seaboard. That would be about a week from now, and that may have a direct or indirect impact on our weather. Hour by hour forecast, constantly updating. Here's the latest and greatest from our hour by hour. 60 showing up shortly after sunset, and tomorrow morning, hey, let's open the windows again with mid to upper 50s, a little fog for the trip into work and school. Tomorrow afternoon, it'll be a little warmer than today, but low 80s still pretty darn good. Tomorrow evening, upper 60s. Then we go into the day on Wednesday. Wednesday's the day you're going to notice the muggy factor beginning to creep back into the picture. And you get the humidity ramp back up. Look what tries to happen on that hour by hour. It has a little better shot for a shower or thunderstorm than I'm currently thinking going up by as early as Wednesday afternoon. So that's something we'll keep a very close eye on. But overall, this pattern again is taking a turn toward the steam and the scattered storms starting late Wednesday. Better chance on Thursday, and that goes through the weekend. Mid to upper 80s for highs. You knew this gravy train couldn't roll on forever, guys. Whopping 2 days of it, by the way. Mid and upper 80s for highs, lows back into the 60s.
Well, the wettest August we've had in a while.
Yeah, we're at 10th wettest August ever for the city of Lexington. We still have better than a week and change to go right now in terms of what we're going to be dealing with. So, yeah, soggy to say the least this August, and I would suspect we're going to climb that ladder before we say hello to September.
All right, Chris.
Okay.
Thank you. I think.
Yeah.
Well, the Wildcats are getting closer and closer to game week.
Well, they are back on the practice field this morning. Mark Stoops talks about his team's depth, and the Cats need help on defense. Stoops singles out a player who he feels could make a big contribution. He's not that big. Sports is next. Kentucky held its final scrimmage of fall camp Saturday, and Mark Stoops came away with mixed emotions about his team's performance. Stoops was a lot more upbeat following this morning's practice. Although depth continues to be a concern, he liked some of the things that he saw on that scrimmage tape.
I felt like after watching the scrimmage, again, there were some really good things in there. I felt like we made a big jump defensively. You know, as I touched on after the scrimmage, depth is an issue, but we're going to be just fine. You know, as you piece it all together and put everybody together and move some guys around, we're going to be in good shape and anxious to get into game week.
Following practice, Stoops singled out linebacker Eli Brown as a guy who has really played well during preseason camp. As Lee K. Howard tells us, Brown could get some meaningful playing time this season.
Eli Brown could have been unhappy about being redshirted his freshman season. Instead, he made the most of learning from those linebackers in front of him on the depth chart.
It helped me a little bit because I got to go with the scout team and go against the starting offense and even with the scout with the starting line, with the starting O-line, they helped me out, and it was like, bro, you need to do this and do that, and like it make you better, it make you quicker, and that helped me out too.
Brown spent much of his redshirt season working on his body and trying to put on weight. He says his size has never stopped him.
I don't care what people say. I don't care that you say I'm underweight. I'm going to show you that I can play underweight. So people saying I need to gain weight, I listen to it, but then again go through one ear out of the other because I'm going to show you that I can do this.
Growing up in Bowling Green, Brown was used to playing against bigger players.
I always been underweight, and I always played up. I never played with my age. My dad made sure I always played up. So I always been the undersized linebacker or undersized anything. So knowing my dream was always playing the SEC, that I knew I would want to play the SEC, and I'm going to play inside linebacker, and I'm going to show you guys I can play this.
On September the 3rd, Eli Brown will realize that dream of playing linebacker in the SEC and could even find himself in a starting role.
I want everybody who said I couldn't play linebacker in the SEC watch that game and just see how relentless I am, and that you can't tell me I can't do something. I'm going to show you I can.
In Lexington, Lee K. Howard, WKYT.
And in the next half hour, photo day for the UK women's team, and Clark County has a new boys basketball coach. Stay with us. We continue after the break.